online controversy of his endorsement of this new Qur'an.
I wanted to respond to a few of the things mentioned in this video. Firstly, as you saw in the clip, this book is referred to as a new Qur'an. But to be fair, the brother does go on to explain how this isn't actually a new Qur'an. Or at least that's not what it's supposed to be. However, if we look at the way that it's being marketed and promoted, then we can see that this is a major part of the problem. On the official website, it's being promoted as a Qur'an translation, and Mufti Menk promotes it as a translation on his YouTube channel. Now, I myself embraced Islam 15 years ago after reading English translations of the meaning of the Qur'an, and most English-speaking Muslims are heavily reliant on English translations. And therefore, we are very familiar with the different English translations that are available to us, which is why so many Muslims were confused to see an English translation like this. An English translation of the Qur'an that brings the surahs in a different order and doesn't even have all of the surahs in it. So in an attempt to address some of these concerns, the brother reads a message from Mufti Menk and comments. Firstly, they say that this book is not in Arabic because it's not for recitation. However, many of us, we have plenty of English translations of the Qur'an that don't have Arabic in them, yet they always have all the surahs, and they also have the surahs in the correct order. For the surahs to not be in order, or for some of the surahs to not be included, this would obviously cause confusion. Secondly, they mention that this book is for understanding the way surahs were revealed and how Allah brought forth the regulations in stages in Mecca step by step. It shows which subjects were dealt with first by Allah, and it is absolutely useful to know. Now, of course, nobody is against learning about the Qur'an. Nobody is against learning the order that surahs were revealed. Nobody is against learning about the priorities, about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala focused on first in terms of what he sent down and what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam called the people to. I mean, there are books of tafsir that explain these things. There are books on asbab and nuzul about explaining the historical context by which certain surahs were revealed. And nobody's against any of these things. However, books on asbab and nuzul are promoted as books on asbab and nuzul. Books of tafsir are promoted as books of tafsir. And still these books keep the surahs in the correct order. Now, as for what some people are referring to as this new Qur'an being promoted by Mufti Menk, I really don't see much explanation going on at all, at least from the previews available on their website, aside from a very brief explanation underneath the titles. Now, perhaps Mufti Menk, in the foreword that he wrote for this book, he explains certain things, and also on the website you'll find cautionary notes like, this book is not the Arabic Qur'an, it's an English translation of the Meccan surahs, and if you click frequently asked questions, it says this is not a new Qur'an. So it does say these things, but again, a major part of the problem is how things are being promoted and perceived by the masses of people. And this is a problem many of us in the Muslim community have seen for years, is that there will be this outward conveyance of certain information or giving people a certain perceived idea based on one's actions, based on things people post online, based on things people say and don't say. So you'll have all these people who are thinking one thing, but then when that person is pressed about what they're doing and what they're promoting, then they will, read between the lines, read the fine print, read something that I posted over here or something that I said in this obscure podcast an hour into it. And okay, maybe no one's questioning anyone's intentions. Allah knows best everyone's intentions. Maybe you have the best of intentions. Maybe, you did try to cover your tracks in terms of saying certain things. However, people have to take responsibility for the way that they are affecting masses of people with their actions. If so many people are very disturbed and they're getting the wrong idea by this, then perhaps it's not the people's fault, or maybe it's not solely the people's fault. Maybe there should be some personal accountability regarding how a book like this is being promoted at the very least. And there's so much more to discuss and question and be concerned about when it comes to a book like this that we're not going to get into. But the last thing I did want to mention is about, this individual talking about how Mufti Menk is a certified mufti. He can pass fatwas. So even if he's wrong, he still gets one reward. This hadith does not mean that people should follow the mistakes of somebody they consider to be a scholar because Allah will give them one reward if they're wrong. Nor does it mean that that person can't be refuted or have their mistakes warned against.